What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the the afternoon show presented by ESEN. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez, also joined by Jay McLovin and Frankie C. as always. And then we have a special guest right off a Super Bowl win, the Philly sports guys. So we've got a packed show for you guys today. How's it going, guys?
Well, it's good to see Eagle Green on here, even though it's Tags. Unfortunately, now I gotta listen to him gloat over how much better his team is than the Cowboys. So I embrace myself. I'm going to let him have his moment. It is well deserved. Again, shout out to Jalen Hurts, man, your hometown boy. I congratulate what you've accomplished. Tags, it's so bad now that I saw Travis Kelce contemplate retirement. What did you do to this man?
Well, he didn't have a great game. And, I mean, obviously, there were a number of plays that it looked like he took off, actually. So I got to imagine that came into play here a little bit. Like, you can't – this is Super Bowl. And that team felt like – I think they came in thinking that they were automatically going to three-peat. And, I mean, ultimately, it looked like they didn't deserve to be on the same field as the Eagles. I mean, it was that bad.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt about it too, Pat. Because Kelce says in an interview, "Yeah, I'm glad we're back. All the young guys who've never had a ring, it's going to be good to get them a ring." And I'm like, bro, you already are like automatically dialing in this win, and they just Pags. It's what happens. It's the worst thing because you get 2 wins. You're trying to go for the third one, but when they go for the third one, they just don't have that dog-like mentality. It's like Rocky Balboa when Apollo Creed says, "Look around. You see all that eye of the tiger? You used to have that. You don't have that no more. We got to get the eye of the tiger." And Philly came in with eye of the tiger, and he just wasn't. They weren't ready for Clubber Lang. They were not ready for Clubber Lang.
You know, one of the most interesting things that was said at the end of the Super Bowl 2 years ago was CJ Gardner-Johnson said, had the field not been as slick as it was, we would have destroyed their offensive line. Well, they couldn't blame the field this time around. And they destroyed their offensive line. Their offensive line was nowhere near, like it was non-existent. They were turnstiles. Mahomes was running for his life. And because of that, he made mistakes. Lots of mistakes. and the Eagles took advantage. You know, Cooper DeJean with a pick 6. Turnovers.
I want to start it off. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Pags. You are Super Bowl champions once again, the second time in the last 8 or 7 years. Third Super Bowl appearance in that time frame. So congratulations. I know it's really exciting to win a Super Bowl as a Patriots fan, and a Cowboys fan up there, and even the Colts over there with Chris and Tony. We are happy for you and the city of Philadelphia. I want to ask you a huge question. What makes a difference with this Super Bowl win compared to the Super Bowl win you had against my boys and Tom Brady? It was 2 different teams, 2 different quarterbacks, 2 different coaches. Everything was different in those 2 frames. I want to get your aspect on what was the biggest difference. Obviously, Saquon Barkley to me was the biggest difference. But what did you see on your team that was the biggest difference?
So in 2017, it was a very big underdog mentality, obviously. We were underdogs in every playoff game going in, including the Super Bowl. It was the moment that Carson Wentz went out, it was like we were going to fall apart. And that first one was the team. And the theme of that team was we all we need. Like it was the next man up mentality. Everybody was, people were getting hurt. If you remember, we lost Jason Peters during the season because with a season-ending injury. Sproles went out with a season-ending injury. There were a number of key pieces that wound up getting hurt, and we needed to be able to band together as a team and do it. And it was like against the odds that we did that. And it also stopped every joke that there ever was about the Eagles not winning a Super Bowl and not winning the ring. So there was a big monkey off of our backs with that one. And I think the team banded together to be able to do that. Like, hey, nobody thinks we can, so we should. This team, I feel like even though they had the rocky start in the beginning of the season was actually like a microcosm of each game that we played. Initially, we were having a hard time getting started in the first quarter. Like we had gone 14 games, I think, without scoring a point in the first quarter. And even in the first quarter of the season, we were having like it was a hard time. Like we when we got destroyed by Tampa, like we're all questioning what this team is about and what's its identity. And even when we got off of the bye, that Cleveland game was a really tough game. And then they started to band together. That was when Sirianni yelled at the fans and was like, "Hey, we're going to do what we need to do to get to where we got to get to." And the team kind of rallied around the coach. They're like, "Hey, it's like we are a better team than this. We are going to start doing things." And we went on that 10-game winning streak. We lost to Washington in Washington, and then ultimately we're able to finish it out and then, go into the playoffs. The first couple of games were hard, but then we got up against Washington, and they saw the prize. And I felt that we were the best team in the league. I thought the Super Bowl was really going to be the Eagles versus the Lions. I didn't think that the AFC was even strong enough in either direction. Like if it was the Bills, if it was the Ravens, if it was the Chiefs, I didn't think any one of those teams could really hold a candle to the Eagles. But I thought that Detroit was going to be the team that we'd have to go through, that they had such a good season, even with all the injuries, that they were very similar to the 2017 Eagles. And that once they got knocked out by Washington, I was like, I think this is smooth sailing now. And even going into this Super Bowl, I was very confident. I was telling everybody my score prediction was 36-24. And I thought that the Eagles were going to be it was going to be 36-17 at some point. Like I thought that it was going to be very lopsided, that the Eagles were going to smack them in the mouth and they were going to put Kansas City in a position that they haven't been in all season long. And that's behind the 8 ball, thinking that they needed that if we were going to go up 17 points or 20 points, that they were going to have to really struggle to figure out how to solve the problems. And ultimately, it wound up worse than that. It wound up 34-0 at one point. That they had 23 total yards of offense in the first half. They had 45 penalty yards and 23 yards of total offense. And it just you could tell by the end of the first quarter, after Kelce got hit, and he was a little upset about that hit, and nothing got called. You could tell that the fight was coming out of it.
It's interesting to me. A lot of people were talking about, and I do think that Patrick Mahomes now is taking a step back from GOAT status. But I also believe that a lot of that was him just being under the gun because he really had no offensive line protection. There was at one point, twice I know of, where they came straight up the middle and the guy wasn't even touched and he hit Patrick right up on the gut. I mean, so a lot of that, I felt like that O-line, like you said, maybe the O-line itself was exposed all year. They weren't used to that kind of physicality that the Eagles brought. I mean, and they should have known better. If I was Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs, or even the offensive coordinators, offensive line coach, I'm watching that NFC Championship game because you saw how aggressive they were against the Commanders in that game. So you knew if they were going to be that aggressive in the NFC game, how much more aggressive were they fully prepared to be in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. There was 0 blitzes the entire game. 0. Yeah. Not one blitz dialed up at all. And it was all from the front four. Their best guy on that offensive line is their guard. And their guard kept getting blown up by like Nolan Smith and Davis and Carter. And it was just all day long. It was relentless.
And that's Tooney you're talking about, right? Joe Tooney?
Yeah.
I believe it's Tooney you're talking about. Yeah, I said that after the game. I said it was really weird that the Chiefs had moved someone who is a tackle to guard. And he got absolutely dominated the entire game. I feel bad for Joe Tooney.
Yeah, and he was, like I said, he was listed as the best offensive lineman or the offensive guard in the league, and
Yeah.
he was just getting crushed all day long. And so was Mahomes. He didn't have an answer. He didn't have any answers. He made some very weird mistakes. In fact,
Yeah.
Mahomes, like jumping and throwing the ball, like what is that? I mean, that's like quarterback 101. Don't leave your feet ever as a quarterback.
Right.
You want to be planted and direct the ball to where you want to go to. And I think that they just had absolutely no answers whatsoever, and they couldn't make adjustments to it. I mean, obviously, they didn't get across midfield until 3 minutes and 23 seconds left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we'd get a shutout, but I thought that you could tell that they let up off the gas in the fourth quarter. It's just they're like, all right, whatever.
That game wasn't even near as close as the final score because really
No, it really was.
Kansas City really didn't score no points. If you
They got
look
the
at it, like you said,
garbage
they're all
time.
garbage
They got the
time.
garbage time ones in the fourth.
But,
But
what do you think the biggest difference was this year between last year? Because like last year, the Eagles had the big collapse at the end of the season. I know they had lost their coordinators and now brought new coordinators in and everything. Do you think it was getting the new coordinators? Was it getting Saquon, or what do you think the biggest difference for the turnaround for this season from what happened last year?
So obviously, if you remember the defense last year, the defense was they switched coordinators mid-season, and nobody really liked Patricia at all. And they switched to him, and you could tell that defense just quit after that. They were just not interested at all in playing, and it was so odd how the whole thing kind of came about. There was a little bit of an issue on offense in terms of some inner strife that was happening between players, and then the defense, the initial defensive coordinator was micromanaging everybody, and then they switched to Patricia, and he was not well liked at all, and the whole team just kind of quit as one. That being said, you bring in Vic Fangio, who is a no-nonsense defensive coordinator. Like, he's going to be the guy that's going to set only have players on the field. So, and ultimately, that's what he did. He had players on the field that was able to play. That's why you didn't see Josh Huff on the field. That's why you saw the rookies out there very quickly. Zach Bond became an all-pro. He went from being a special teams guy to an all-pro linebacker. That was part of the system. And then you had Kellen Moore, who understood that the way to win these games right now is that we have a very dominating offensive line, and they want to go out and smack somebody. We don't want to pass block as much. So you had Saquon Barkley, who obviously was, arguably the MVP this year. And running for 2,000 yards. And just I think it all came together. I think everybody started to realize they had something special, that they brought violence every game, and they as they did on Sunday. And when they did it on Sunday, they overwhelmed the Chiefs. The Chiefs had no answer for anything, and I think they walked in there thinking that they were just going to automatically three-peat, and that's what happens when you get
definitely looked like the hungrier team Sunday.
Knocked them off the ball.
One other question I had too about Nick Sirianni. Like earlier in the year, all over like ESPN, all over media, all you saw was how big a dipshit he was and how he was holding the Eagles back. Was that the feeling around with the Eagles fans as well, or is that just a narrative the national media was building up?
Well, I think that there was some credence to it in the beginning of the season. Obviously, there were some question marks on whether he should have even come back in the first place, and the team actually rallied around him. Said, like the guys on the team said, "Hey, It's not Nick. This Nick isn't the problem. And they were starting to fix that, issue, and said that, all right, they'll bring him back, but we're going to bring in new coordinators. We're going to bring in guys that are going to make stuff happen. They brought in obviously Fangio and Moore, and initially we were talking about how Moore. How do we deal with Moore? Moore seemed like he was predictable. Seemed that there was a certain stigma that came with him. But the one thing he was able to do was put points on the board. Wherever he went, he was able to put points on the board. So I think they got involved in the system. The first 4 weeks of the season and going into the bye, we were only 2-2. We just got blown out by Tampa Bay after that hurricane had gone through in like 200-degree weather, it felt like, because it was hot as hell down there. And then we come out of the bye week against the Browns, a very good defensive team, the Browns, and barely beat them. And that's when Nick Sirianni went a little nuts on the fans. They were talking about how he should get fired, and he fought back. And I think the team took that under their wing a little bit. They're like, you know what? If our coach is willing to fight, so are we. And then we played the Giants. And I every year I say that our season doesn't begin. The Eagles season does not begin until we play the Giants. And we played the Giants and we smacked them. And I was like, okay, now everything's going to be okay. It's just that's the team that we're going to be. And then we played Jacksonville, and Jacksonville was a funny game because I think, I heard from a player that they let up off the gas a little bit to try to help Doug Peterson save his job. When I'm like, well, when you look at that game, there's decisions that were made were a little ridiculous, but making sense if that's the response, that they're trying to help Doug Peterson save his job. And then the rest of the season, there was no more mistakes. There were no more calls like that at all. So whether it was that or he learned from his mistakes and not chase the points, get the points on the board early, be able to just do the things we want to do, we started to impose our will on teams, and ultimately it ended up in the Super Bowl where we were able to do whatever we wanted to do.
I feel like one of the weaknesses, though, on that Philly team, not that there was many, but I felt like the one weakness you had, though, was not being able to get Saquon Barkley up and running. He really did not have much there to go. And I know you guys have a great offensive line, but why do you think it was that they just could not really get Saquon going? Because the only true truly positive yard, came from Jalen Hurts on that 72 yards, and I think he had a push touchdown. But why was it? I mean, Saquon, it blew my mind because that was like the big guy, but you really didn't need Saquon all that much.
No, they keyed on him. I said it before the game. There were a few things that I said that you should bet. Yeah, I'm not a gambler, but that you should bet. And I said Saquon under. Saquon was not going to get his yardage. They were going to key on Saquon. They were going to make Jalen Hurts have to beat them. Yeah. And he did. He did. He played his two best games of the year, the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And there was no doubt.
I think it was Devontae Smith when he caught that pass in the end zone, and I think it put him up by 5 scores. He basically said you can hear him say in the end zone, "Game over, no more counting the points." I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, y'all definitely got the swag in this one. It is not coming back on that, and you're right, they weren't. They just weren't. And Pat, even Jason Kelce said in an interview. He said he felt like he could have did more for Pat. He felt like he could have did this or that. But honestly, I hate to tell you, no matter what he did, it wasn't going to stop the inevitable. And I'll be honest with you, I felt like Casey's defense did a damn good job. It's just the offense couldn't give him anything on the other end of the ball to really help them.
Right, and they were getting tired. That defense was getting exhausted. From doing all the things. I like that the Eagles' game plan was to go after Chris Jones. They ran right at him. They were trying to tire him out as quickly as possible. So they kept going with Saquon right up to God. Even though they weren't making any yardage, it was doing that to try to wear him down to make it easier for him to be managed by the offensive line. And ultimately, Jalen Hurts was sacked once. He threw one bad pass, that interception, because obviously that he didn't even look back at that ball. But ultimately, and beyond those two mistakes, I mean, they were just on it. They were just on it, and I knew that they would be. I felt that there was a potential for this to be a blowout, and it came out much more of a reality than I even expected.
Real quick, I
Hey,
said
Jay.
this on Friday pregame
Jay.
show when we were talking about
Hey,
it.
Jay.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I think Frankie had something he wanted to ask a couple seconds ago. Let him have
It's fine. I
and
could
you can
wait.
get back.
I'll wait, Chris. Thank you. I mean, when we're on a show with Jay, we've been on a show with Jay for so long. You can never get a question in with Jay. You have to wait until Jay's silent. I could wait. Go ahead, Jay. Finish your question.
No, I apologize, Frankie Gonza. I'm sorry. I do tend to get like that. Pags has known me for a long time, so he knows better. But no, question, Pags, is, I said this on Friday's pregame show. I threw out some stats on how accurate or how lacking accurate Patrick Mahomes is in times. As a matter of fact, he's actually more accurate when he's on the run, throwing those crazy passes than he is when he's just in the pocket doing his normal thing. And there's, I knew right then and there when he was trying to go left and trying to go right, even like when Frankie said the jump pass and it just wasn't there for him, I knew right then and there that this game was over. If he can't even be halfway accurate when he's scrambling, which is when he's when he's at his most accurate. And I don't know how I'm sure you probably felt the same way when you saw him try to go left and right and still couldn't make a pass. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, I mean, that you had Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean were just stuck to their defenders. And it looked to me like, I mean, even when they were open, I mean, the DeAndre Hopkins dropping that pass early in the game was a killer. He was wide open and dropped the pass. It looked like to me like Xavier was the only one that went out there to actually try to win a Super Bowl. It looked like everybody else was just, that they had too much jambalaya the night before and they were weighed down. Just felt that way. It just felt like that they had no idea that they really shouldn't have been on the same field. I felt like they didn't deserve to be on the field.
I agree. I'm sorry, Frankie, I apologize.
So, Pags, you started the season in Brazil and you end the season in New Orleans. I mean, two questions. One, which one was but obviously the Super Bowl is probably going to be your favorite one. But, in between the season from Brazil to New Orleans, you have to have a special game that you love the most. And number two, I want to know the mileage, man, the travel. You traveled. I feel like you went to every single game. You went to all 21 games of the Philadelphia Eagles. So that traveling, I want to know the total mileage or the total travel mileage that you went to. I know obviously you drove some, you flew some, but man, it got to be tiring. And that's what a super fan is all about. And that's what we like about you, Pags, is you're a dedicated super fan. You're not like Jay, where you just sit home and cry about the Cowboys. You actually go around and you see your boys win or lose. But, man, let me know, man. From Brazil to New Orleans, you have to have a favorite game.
So obviously, like, to try to pick one game out of all of them is tough to do. Brazil was absolutely amazing. I mean, I went down there for like a week ahead of time. The game wound up being the game itself, but it was such a good time down in Brazil. I didn't realize that, obviously the United States is the one that watches American football the most, followed by Mexico as number 2. But I didn't realize Brazil was number 3. I would have thought that it would have been England or somewhere in Europe.
Right.
So Brazil's like the 3rd most watched American football. And I got to meet professional football players in Brazil while I was down there. Now, I'm talking to an offensive lineman and he's a little bit bigger than I am, you could tell that these aren't NFL style players, but they are getting paid to play American football in Brazil. And it was just such an interesting thing to deal with. And then, of course, being the super fan, and I'm trying to wear my face paint into the stadium, and them saying, no, you can't do it. It's like, okay, you don't argue with the Brazilian army. You just do what they say and enjoy the game. But short of that, I loved every part of Brazil, being down there and doing what have you. As far as like special games, watching Saquon do the hurdle, the backwards hurdle, amazing. You know what I mean? Watching him run for 255 yards against the Rams, ridiculous and amazing. Watching him do it again in the playoffs, amazing. You know, it's like there were so many cool moments of the season. You know, like even being down in Tampa, I mean, Tampa's had our number for a little bit, and obviously they continue to think that they're better than us. Truth of the matter is that we were stuck in a hotel in Orlando for 2 days before that game because of the hurricanes and all the destruction that happened down there. And then to have that game be like 120 degrees, and I'm wearing the pads like the players are. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I almost passed out. It was like I looked like a drowned rat at the end from sweating so badly. There were so many different moments during the season that I get to remember and I can reflect on and say, wow, this was a great moment. And this was a great moment. But to have my favorite game, I've not been to a Super Bowl where we won. I was not there in Minnesota in 2018. So this was a moment in time that, a footnote in my life that I will never, ever forget. And just this whole entire week was amazing. Being on Radio Row, being a part of just everything that the Super Bowl had to offer. And I got to be a part of it. And people were a part of it with me. Like a great moment, one of the best moments of the week that nobody gets to see. I'm doing an interview with a college and that's from New York, and they are New York fans. They're busting my balls a little bit about the Mets beating the Phillies, and we're talking about Saquon and whatever. And Shedeur Sanders is walking by, and I stopped the interview for a second. I'm like, yo guys, give me 1 second. Hey, Shedeur, good luck in the draft. I'll see you in Green Bay. I'm going to be there. And Shedeur turns around and says, I know. I see you everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's always the handsome ones. And I just went right back to the interview. And it was such a cool moment. And I played it off real cool, like, oh, yeah, this happens all the time. But I was like, that's Shedeur Sanders. And he just said out loud that he sees me everywhere. And that just was such a cool and humbling moment for me, just being like, wow, I guess I am doing my job right. I am everywhere, and they are paying attention, even though they may not follow and they may not ever comment or anything. It's just awesome to kind of be in this mix. And it was just that's like one of those moments that I love sharing with people because nobody gets to see that part. Nobody gets to see him saying that he saw me everywhere. And I was just like, oh yeah, nothing. I'm like all inside. I'm like
that's when you know that's when you know you made it, Pags. Literally, that's when you know you made it. You had a dream, and your dream has come true. You went to the Super Bowl. You met Shedeur Sanders. A pro athlete that's going to soon be in the NFL went and told you, listen, I've seen you everywhere. I know about you. Not only that, Pags, you were on the Pat McAfee show. We seen you on ESPN that day. So that's amazing that you man, I'm proud of you, man. Literally.
And it's a lot of this is being a little bit lucky. And I always say, one of my sayings, and I'm a big sayings guy, is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And I was very prepared for these moments. Like I have been working my tail off to get to this point. And like I said, it was by chance that I happened to be walking by the Pat McAfee show while he doesn't have a guest. And a kid asks me to take a picture, and he sees me, and they bring me up to the microphone, and then immediately try to bust my balls. And I'm like, nope, you ain't going to bust my balls. There ain't no way that you can, because you just can't. You just can't. There ain't nothing that you could say or do that's going to bust my balls. And I was surprised how many people saw it. Like everybody came up to me and was like, dude, man, you handled that was so awesome. Like even when they said, are you going to eat horse shit? And I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? And Pat McAfee says, yeah, he's the Philly sports guy, not the horse poop eating guy. You know what I mean? It's just,
Hey, but I did like how you were busting Gronkowski's balls a little bit, telling him how, like, hey, you bet against me. You know you shouldn't have done it.
Hey, and he kept it right. He kept it right. He told Gronk, listen, he picked the Chiefs, and every time he picks a team for the Super Bowl, they end up losing. And look what happened. Gronk,
they
stop
lost
picking
again.
teams, Gronk. As
Oh,
much
no,
as I
keep
love
picking
Gronk,
him. Just keep picking against the Eagles.
Let me ask you a question. So Kellen Moore is now leaving you. Everybody knows I'm not a big Kellen Moore fan, but that's regardless. He's going to New Orleans now. And me and Gonzo and the guys were talking about this yesterday. What a mess New Orleans is right now with their cap, quarterback situation, and everything else going on down in New Orleans. And now Kellen Moore is going there. No head coach experience, first-time head coach. What is your expectation for Kellen Moore?
So first off, the rumor was, at least it came back through me, was that the Eagles offered more money to keep him than he was offered to become the head coach. And he took the head coaching job anyways. And I really wish him the best. I mean, obviously, he's been in the discussion for years now on whether he should get the head coaching position or not. And they are a mess down there. And I hope that they give him the time to work it out. That obviously this is not going to be, he's not going to be able to turn it around right away. They do have some weapons on offense. He's going to have to figure out how to use the ingredients he has to be able to make something happen. And he's not going to be able to do much in free agency. He's not going to be able to do much, uh, with the draft even because he's got what he's got and that's it. And there's no money. There's no money to work with. So I just hope that the ownership there give him the time to figure it out and work it out. Because obviously, when you're in the conversation for head coach for as many years as he's been, and I know that Dallas, they thought he became very predictable. And then he went to San Diego and he was scoring a lot of points, but the defense was giving up a lot of points. And then he came to Philadelphia and he wins a ring. And you could say that it had to do with him. You could say that it had to do with Sirianni. You could blame it on a number of different things. Had to do with the defense, all that. Truth of the matter is that it took every piece of
Absolutely.
that puzzle to win the championship. So I wish him the best. And just when he comes up against the Eagles, I want to beat him.
Well, Pags, Kellen, he's gone now. I obviously watch your show, Coast to Coast, with Bo and with Stat Guy, and sometimes with Jay. And I've seen your breaking news. It actually came out first to Coast. It's not breaking news. It's a prediction that can happen. But can you please give the fans that watch us here at ESEN a true prediction from the Eagles fan himself on who's going to become the next offensive coordinator or who could become the next offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I've been saying for over a month now because I thought that Kellen Moore was going to get a head coaching job. I thought that they would bring back Frank Reich. I think that he's got a really good rapport with Sirianni. You could almost say that Sirianni was hired because of Frank Reich because he was the offensive coordinator over there. That he felt that he was ready to become a head coach. And I think that Frank Reich tried to become a coach, our head coach. It didn't work out. I think he was put into some bad situations and it didn't come to fruition in any one of those spots. He's a little on the older side, so I don't think he's got the aspirations to become a head coach anymore. And I feel like the Eagles are going in a position where that's why they went with Fangio, because obviously Vic Fangio has been a head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator for a long time. He's not trying to aspire to anything else again. He wants to be a defensive coordinator and he wants to finish his career in one spot. And I kind of feel this exact same way is going to be with Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich is old enough now where he doesn't need to aspire to anything else. He's already got one ring. I think that the competitive nature in him wants to get more, but it doesn't mean that I have to be a head coach to do it. I can get a ring the same exact way by being an offensive coordinator and be just as much a part of a team than by being the head coach. And I think that that's where I think that the Eagles are looking at. If it's
Interesting.
not Frank Reich, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a now long-term offensive coordinator, guys like Marty Morningweg and things like that, like older guys who have been in the league for a long time, who don't want to be a head coach anymore, necessarily don't want the responsibility, but they want to be able to be a part of the team and keep the competitive fire going and try to win championships.
And if you can find a guy like that, it's kind of an advantage because, like you were just saying, you don't have to worry. You're not worrying about replacing your coordinator every year because
Yeah.
Right.
if he's doing a good job, he's going to be there probably 3, 4, or 5 seasons at least.
Correct.
Well, just
And
keep that continuity there.
and realistically, you think about that, it's like there are this will be the 5th coordinator in 5 years that we'll have to go through. And that weighs a lot on a quarterback and guys with the system. Interestingly enough, Sirianni has worked with Frank Reich before, so they know each other well. I think that the offense won't change much because of that.
Right.
And that's why I feel like that they want the continuity of keeping the same thing going rather than changing it up.
You mentioned Fangio. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frankie.
No, I just want to quickly stay on this, and then Jay, you can ask your question. But I was just gonna ask, do you think because now that you guys are Super Bowl champions, Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, and now he's a Super Bowl MVP, should he now have say with the general manager and the front office of who should be his next offensive coordinator, since he's the one on the field that's going to be having to run these plays and stuff?
No, I don't think he should. I think he should have input with whoever the coordinator is to be able to help run the offense. But I don't think that he should have say in who the offensive coordinator is. He's not Aaron Rodgers, and I don't believe Aaron Rodgers should have had that say. So that's what happens when you have the inmates run the asylum. You start to have things not coordinate right, and that's where I kind of feel. You stay in your lane. You are now a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. You have had a great season. We won the Super Bowl. We want to win more Super Bowls. You let the guys who have been doing this, Howie Roseman, when it comes to picking coaches, you can't argue with the record that they've had. When they hired Doug Peterson, he was supposed to be the dumbest hire in all of football. Guess what? He won a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni, his first press conference, he's stumbling over words, couldn't even get 2 words out right. And guess what? He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won one now. There is something to be said for the guys that are making the decisions in the executive portion of the franchise that are right. And because of that, you got to continue to let them make those decisions. Let Jalen Hurts make the decisions on the field. Let the guys do what they're supposed to do in the executive portion of the franchise.
I gotta tell you, one thing I like about the Eagles. What the Eagles have done is one thing I wish the Cowboys would do is hire people that bring discipline to an organization. Let me say this: Deion Sanders told Jerry and has told the world that he wouldn't take a head coaching job in NFL because he felt like the practices were, let's say, lackadaisical. They didn't have no passion. They didn't have no spirit. They didn't have no hard grit to it. He didn't like the way practices were run in the NFL. And I got to understand that because when you look at Vic Fangio, he was run out of Miami because the players didn't like the way he ran their practices. He felt he was too hard on them. Well, I got to tell you, I think Miami's having a little buyer's remorse at seeing what Vic Fangio was able to do down in Philly and bring the tenacity is what ultimately got you that Super Bowl championship. And I think they should have wanted some of that to help them get where you guys ultimately got.
So I look at this a little differently. I feel that Vic Fangio is only meant for young defenses. We had the youngest defense in the league, and he was the number 1 defense in the league. The reason why that is because if you're a veteran and you've been working, for 8-10 years on defense, you don't want to go through the stuff that young players have to go through. And I
Right.
think that that's part of the problem. So as the Eagles come in here and you have a lot of rookies, why do you think Huff wasn't on the field? Huff is like, all right, I just came from the Jets where it was a little bit easier. I was the best of a bad bunch, and I'm just gonna, skate by here. Well, he never got on the field, and and Vic Fangio said, I'm going to play guys that want to play, and all these guys are young kids. They're all young kids. I mean,
Yeah.
take away Slay, but Slay was able to still do the things and be as part of the with the kids. He was able to mentor them. He was able to mentor Quinyon Mitchell. He's able to mentor Cooper DeJean. He's able to take care of some of the things. And then you have the linebackers where, like I said, we pulled one off of the scrap heap who all of a sudden became a first team all pro middle linebacker. Like when the Eagles finally got an Urlacher equivalents, on the team. And then you have a real young defensive line that were hungry, that remember what it's like winning a national championship and, remember losing the Super Bowl 2 years ago and want to get back there and want to remember what it's like to be, on the top, at the very top of the pile rather than, being
yeah.
second.
I agree. I think, especially with the older defensive coordinator, I think it's better for him to have a young team because the younger guys are a little more coachable at that point too, because they're not set in their ways like veterans are. So I think an older guy can get more out of the younger guys because they're going to buy into his system. Where some of the veterans are, like you said, been doing it 10, 12 years. They're like, I don't want to learn a whole new system and go through all this again when I'm already kind of set in my career. So I do agree with that. I did have a question about Radio Row. What was that experience like?
Amazing. So day number one, I get there on Wednesday for me, and I'm like a kid at Christmas. I'm like, like initially I'm a fan, and I'm just walking around. I'm like, ooh, like everything is kind of cool to me, and I'm just fanning out, like I'm geeking out on everything that I see. Day two, like, and I got some interviews and got a lot of pictures and stuff like that. Day two, it was like, now it's time to soak it in and start to get to work. And that's when I wind up on Pat McAfee. That's when I get to interview Paige from, for Garage Beer. That's how I get to talk to some of the guys and some of the players and be a part of what's going on there. And then Friday, it was just like I own the place now. Now everybody knows me, and I own the place, and I get to interview with Reach TV, so that every airport in the country is now going to see my face because I did an interview with them. The fact that I did all these different interviews with like the colleges and a couple of different organizations and stuff like that you're going to be able to see later on, I can imagine, was just amazing to be a part of it all. And and then to also do my own stuff and to do those videos and to share it with the people that can't get into that room, that either aren't going to the Super Bowl or that can't get into that area because of, like I said, I've become a little bit of, I've become one with the media some. So I'm
Right.
able to kind of show all those things to people that they don't get to see. And the NFL backing me on it. The NFL wanting me there because I am offering a lot to the whole, to the whole
For sure.
experience. And that was just it. Again, it took a lot of preparation to get there. It was one of those things that I hoped that I could be there 2 years ago. I understand why it didn't happen that way, but I was a lot more prepared for it this time around and for years to come. You know, if the Eagles make it back to the Super Bowl next year, I'm ready.
I was thinking to myself, as me and the wife were watching the Super Bowl and I was seeing the Tick Pick commercials come on. I was telling Melanie, I was like, it ain't gonna be much longer before I think Philly Sports Guy is gonna be doing those Tick Pick commercials at the Super Bowl. I think you're on that way. I think you're on that path.
I am actually. They had They had the commercials here. They had the commercials in airports. I mean, literally, and it ended in New Orleans. People were saying, "You're that guy that I'm seeing on TV." Somebody, I have no idea who it was. I have no idea who it was, but this guy comes up to me and goes, "I don't know anything about you, but you must be some big deal in Philadelphia because I see you all over my TV at 6 o'clock this morning." You're like, "And what are you still doing up at 11 o'clock at night?" I'm like, "Well, I'm
Nice.
working. I'm working because that's what I was down there to do. I was down there to work. It was as much of a great time as it was, and like I said, this may go down as one of the best weeks of my life in general. Uh, I was working, and it was a working experience for me, and I loved every minute of it. It was just amazing, every minute of it.
Yeah, and I
Was
actually
this the
do
first?
enjoy watching your journey.
Was this the first Super Bowl that you had, attended?
I know I was out in Arizona, but I didn't get to do like Radio Row or anything like that. It was a much different experience in that regards. And like I said, it's you know I took that and was like, okay, I can't get on Radio Row. I can't do the things that I'd like to do then, so I got to work harder to get there for next year or the year after. And just took 2 years for me to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Joe Trincario. I never can say his name right, but he asked me what I thought about Dak, and I feel I was talking about that in pre-show about Dak and his comments. And I'll just tell you, Joe, I read the article, and I am happy to see that he thinks that they're closer to the Super Bowl contention than what people realize. I don't share those sentiments. I am a Cowboys fan. I love my Cowboys. But realistically, and Pags, I'm sure y'all probably will think the same way. I mean, realistically, we're not as close. We're not. We have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of things to upgrade. I still don't know 100% what we got in this management team, other than it's Brian Schottenheimer, and I really don't know if he's really head coach material. I don't know. Pags, what y'all think?
Yeah, the video that I watched when it showed one of the shows on ESPN afterwards, and the one guy sitting there like this, and they're like, "Is his mic still on?" And he gets up and he goes, "I don't want to hear that from Dak Prescott. Out of all the things that he could have said, it might have sounded better from Schottenheimer as the coach or Micah Parsons, but I don't want to hear that from Dak. All the things that have happened in the last 7 years, the Eagles have been to the Super Bowl 3 times and have won it twice. You can't get out of the second round, and you just had a season where the team only won 6 or 7 games. You cannot say this right now. You keep your mouth shut and you get to work. That's what you got to do. And the fact that he said all this is the reason why they are such a dumpster fire right now.
Oh, absolutely. And Pablo Chihuahua definitely agrees with you.
Pags, I got something for you, Pags. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they love you so much that they had decided to have their Super Bowl victory parade on Friday, which is good for you because it's going into a weekend. But it's also Valentine's Day on Friday. Will you be attending the Super Bowl Day parade?
Of course. My true love is sports. So I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend.
God, that's
should I get the Eagles flowers? Should I get
some
flowers?
Get them some green flowers.
Some green roses to be like, hey guys, you're my Valentine. Thank you.
Maybe I can take some of this beard hair. I'll put it on top of my head and put on a nice dress for you, Pags. I'll go as your date. I'll look pretty good when you dress me up.
What? This just got weird. You just made it weird.
What? You think I can't go and be Pags Valentine's Day? Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
You guys can do whatever you want. No judgment.
Hey, listen, I'll go ahead and go to a good party and drink some beer, damn it.
Were you
listen, at least it'll be a parade that you get to go to.
Sadly, yes.
Did you go to the parade the last time the Eagles won? And how do you think, if you did, how do you think this parade will compare to that one?
Yes, I did go, and I wasn't as big as the Philly sports guy back then. Like the Philly sports guy kind of started and evolved the following year. So, I mean, I was a fan and I got painted up for games and stuff like that, but I wasn't as big or as well known as that. So, this parade for me will be a much different experience all the way across the board. Um, I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be walking the route or on a float or up on stage. I have no idea how any of that's going to work, but either way, I'm really excited for it. And my son said that he wanted to attend the parade with me, so we're going to see if that we can make that happen as well.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. That is
Philly
awesome.
sports guy with his son, the Philly sports kid.
Philly
Yeah,
Sports Junior.
we may have to paint him up.
I'm about to say that. Are you gonna paint him up? You be like two little eagles. You gotta get him a little faux hawk or something. I mean,
Something like that. We might have to do something if he's really game for it. The harder part about this is if he's got to walk the 2.5 miles of the parade route. I don't know that that's. I mean, he's 16 years old, so he should absolutely have the energy to do so. But I just don't know that it's really something that he would want to do in the cold and stuff like that. Like I don't have a choice. Like I'm going to have to do it, but he may not want to.
We got Joe here saying, "Come on, Jay, have some confidence. We're gonna surprise a lot of
it ain't
people."
about confidence. I've had confidence for 30 years. 30 years. Come on, man. What are you talking about?
He also goes to say, "Philly guy is the new Italian stallion story. He's taking off."
So
Pat's figured that though. That parade. There's going to be there's suspected 1 million people at this parade. Are there any concerns that you think you might have that security wise? I mean, that's a lot of people to be in downtown.
I mean, you always got to be worried about security and things like that. We learned that last year from Kansas City.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got to imagine that there's going to be a heightened security level across the board, that they want to make sure to keep everybody as safe as possible and things. I mean, even this celebration, like I love that they always show like the little bonfire that happened, that it was a very controlled bonfire, but we're burning the place down. No, we didn't burn the place down. They didn't climb the poles this time. They did take down a couple of poles. And it's like
yeah.
there's something to be said for that. I mean, that these are like college kids, that they celebrate like college kids, that they want to take down the goalposts and walk down the street with them and stuff. I don't suspect that that's going to be any issue for this parade, but you definitely want to make sure that everybody remains safe, because it only takes one guy who's got an agenda, and there's going to be so many people there that could ruin the whole experience for everybody. And I suspect that the Philadelphia's finest are going to be on top of that to make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to tell you though, Vanderbilt, you had every right to take that goalpost down after that Alabama whooping that you put on them. Feel bad for the River, but they had every right to take that damn goalpost down.
So
every right to take the goalpost down. Shut up, Jay.
Anyways,
how confident are you that they're going to be able to keep this team pretty much together for next year, or do you think they're going to lose some players? And if so, who do you think they might be losing?
Well, I think they're going to lose Darius Slay. I think they're going to lose Sweat on the defensive line. It's possible that they could lose Williams, because I think he was on a 1-year deal. They're going to have to re-sign Bourne, and he's going to cost some money. And on the offensive side of the ball, I really feel like that there's not much I think everybody's under contract. So I feel like that it's going to be on the defensive side that there's going to be a couple of question marks that need to get filled. Obviously, with the draft, we're going to be in the 32nd position. My expectation is that they'll trade out of that position, because ultimately the only reason why you want to choose somebody there is because you want the extra year in the contract. And I think that that's worth something to other teams more than it is the Eagles at the moment. I think that they're going to try to do whatever they can to keep this defense together. And make sure that the people that are supposed to get the money get their money, and the people that got to go are going to wind up going. Like I believe Sweat specifically is going to be gone because I feel that he got Drew Rosenhaus as an agent, and he's going to
Yeah.
go after he wants to be shown the Quan. He wants to be shown the money. And I think that's he deserves it. He got 2 sacks in the Super Bowl. He's had a great season this year. He should go get the money. Are the Eagles going to pay him? I can't say that for certain. I think the only person that may be a question mark on whether he comes back or not on the offensive side is really like Dotson. Everybody else is already still under contract. Yep. So I feel that that's all going to remain the same. The offensive line might remain the same. I think that Lane Johnson comes back for at least 1 more year, if not 2. And then, is Brandon Graham going to come back? That's still up in the air. I think he's going to come back. I think he is going to come back for 1 more season, but I don't want to speak for him. And we'll have to figure it out. Like there's going to be a couple of holes, but the cornerbacks are going to be the same. I mean, minus Slay. I think Slay's going to wind up playing somewhere else next year if he doesn't retire. But everybody else is going to be here. I mean, like I said, we got the youngest defense in the league, and they're all under contract.
Sweat came out and
as I'm looking right now, it shows that the
is that
Go ahead, Frankie.
no, I was just saying that it shows that the Eagles' cap space is 19th at $24.4 million. So yeah, the Eagles, we all know this is tough to do a back-to-back, especially trying to keep everyone or try and keep everyone. What do the Eagles, and I'm not trying to rephrase on what Tony said or whatever, or say something that you already said or whatever. What do the Eagles have to do mainly, or who do they mainly have to keep, to actually help you guys continue with the success with the $24.4 million cap space going into next year?
Back up the
who's the
offensive
main guy you
defensive
think?
line.
Okay.
They have to get guys, the trenches. That's how you win championships. That's how everything occurs. The fact that we got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and their 4 and 5 year contracts, that's going to be that sets them right now. We have to keep Zach Bond. I feel like we got to spend the money on him and re-sign him right away. And then you got to make sure that we have the people in place in the offense and defensive line. If there's injuries, that's where they occur, and that's where they're the most devastating. And I feel like that's where we need the most people backing it up. We need the guys that are going to be able to fill in if they get hurt. And that's where I feel that they're going to focus on. When we get our draft in the 2nd round and the 3rd round, I suspect that they're going to get defensive and offensive linemen.
like I was saying earlier, Sweat said, and Sweat had, like you said, 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles, very much a huge part of that defensive pressure on Mahomes. And, he said he kind of felt like he had a case for being MVP right there with Jalen Hurts. So, and like you said, Drew Rosenhaus is an agent, but I really think that's huge for you. You got to get him under contract. I still think he is a huge motivational part of that defense. I mean, I know it's going to come down to the money. Can you make the money work? But man, that is a huge piece. Not to want to try to do what you can to get him back if it's possible.
Right. And like it says, I'm not going to be the ones that does that negotiation. Obviously, they may have something in mind for that. They spent some money on Huff, and that was not where they, that doesn't seem like it was good money spent right now. So obviously, they got to figure out what's going to work out best for them. And, if they want to run it back, it's going to take some finagling a little bit. Obviously, you wish you could have everybody come back and just run it and do the same thing again. But just having the same personnel doesn't mean that you're going to have the same result.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's gonna be interesting to see where Philly goes next year to build upon this year. How they build upon it. So it's gonna be interesting. And then I really think the Commanders, a few more pieces, and I really think they're right in there with you guys, and I think it's going to give it another tough go at it next year with you guys. I mean, it's going to be see how Jaden Daniels, how he, comes around the sophomore slump, or can he get through that sophomore slump if there even is one, and if he continues to have what he's having. But it's going to be interesting. I think the NFC East is going to have some stuff coming up next year as well.
I agree. I think the NFC East is still the toughest division in football, and it's Washington's going to get better. They have some cap space. They can fix some of the holes and the problems that they have on their defense,
Right.
and that's going to help them. They're going to be able to spend some money on offensive linemen. I wouldn't be surprised that they pick up a couple of offensive linemen free agents this offseason. So I mean, they're going to be a better team, definitely.
It's really surprising to me that, I mean, not really surprising, but hearing you guys say that the NFC East is probably going to be tough next year, or it still can be tough next year. But I mean, can they really be tough? Because, and I'm not trying to knock Jay. I always knock Jay about being a Cowboys fan. I'm always bringing up his boys and stuff. But the Cowboys last year ruined. They literally didn't do anything in the draft. They didn't have salary cap, so they couldn't get anything in free agency. Going into this year as well, they have a $4 million cap space. $4 million, and the Giants are just a dumpster fire that don't know what to do in that organization. I mean, it might take time, yes, with what Jaden Daniels is doing in Washington and what Philly's doing in Philly. You guys are Super Bowl champions. I mean, is this division going to be really tough next year, or is it going to be someone else?
I mean, I think that the division, when you look at the division as a whole, and you have two teams that make it to the playoffs, and in fact, two teams that made it all the way, they were the top two teams in the NFC. I mean, you had three teams that made it from the playoffs up in the north, and what happened? All three got knocked out in one game.
Yeah,
all one round exits. So obviously, there's it's hard to be as resilient. And can I have a crystal ball and say that the East is going to be the one that's going to be on top at the end next year? No, I can't say that. But I can say that, the Cowboys are always going to be the Cowboys. And there's an aura about them to certain teams. So because of that, they may win games they shouldn't. The Giants are a dumpster fire right now, so I can't really speak for them. But you're going to have the Eagles that are going to be the defending champions. And then you got Washington, who has been, they went to the NFC Championship game. So there's no more hiding. Teams are going to come after these two teams, and they gotta be able to do what they need to do to win. And I think they can. I think that the Eagles have enough of a stacked roster that they will be able to compete and win, and for the next couple of seasons.
Now the Chiefs, we've seen them in 3 straight Super Bowls. Normally, after a Super Bowl, we see hangovers. I don't expect the Eagles to have a Super Bowl hangover. You guys are honestly offensive line, defensive line, defense side of the ball and on the cornerbacks, quarterback, running back. You guys are all set. You guys are good. But I want to flip it to the Chiefs real quick and get your guys' thoughts, not just Philly sports guy, but everybody's thought on, do you guys think that this will be the last time that we see not just not Patrick Mahomes, but the Kansas City Chiefs as a whole? Will this be the last time that we can possibly see them in the Super Bowl, or actually see them as a dominant force in the AFC? Because Travis Kelce might not return. Who knows what's going to happen with Chris Jones? I mean, are we going to see a dominating Chiefs again next year or in the near future? And this is for everyone, not just Philly sports guys, for everyone. Take your time, think about it.
I think that there's going to be a little bit of a, I think that they're going to take a step back. I think that this loss was a little bit devastating to them, and that's going to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah, because the guy in the morning show on ESPN, the show that comes on before Get Up, he goes out and he says that the NFL should be scared and worried to face an angry Patrick Mahomes next year. But then I'm as I'm watching and it's clicking in my head, we might not see Travis Kelce. And I've always said, because when you have a duo, and I've seen it many times with Brady and Gronk, when you have that duo and somebody ends up leaving, it ends up not ruining a franchise, but you see a difference in a franchise. And if Travis Kelce retires and he does not return to the Kansas City Chiefs, we're gonna see a whole different Patrick Mahomes. I always said that Patrick Mahomes is the way he is. He's an absolute phenomenal quarterback. He's an outstanding quarterback, but he always had Travis Kelce there with him. Once Travis Kelce is gone, we're gonna see a whole different Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City. And even having Andy Reid, he could still have Andy Reid. He's a great coach, but you have to have that secondary guy. And I don't think Xavier Worthy is just actually worthy yet.
I gotta tell you though, Frankie, I think we already have seen a different version of Patrick Mahomes. And let's be honest, Kelce wasn't exactly there. I think even Kelce himself, like I was telling you earlier in the show, that Kelce himself came out and said that he wasn't there for his boy Pat. He clearly said that he wasn't there. So I think we've already seen a different version of Patrick Mahomes. Let's be honest, that O-line right now, I think Philadelphia exposed it quite well that they're susceptible. So yeah, I do think they're going to take a step back. How far that step is, I mean, we'll have to wait till next year to see, or next season to see. But like Philly said, they're definitely taking a step back. There's no way about it. Joe, let me just answer that to you real quick, brother, man.
Hey, Jay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to comment on Frankie's question real quick, and then you can before you answer that question. I kind of think.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think they'll take a step back, but I don't think they're just going to fall off the planet either. I think in a couple of years you could see them right back competing, and the reason I say that is because of just like what a Philly sports guy talked about with Howie Roseman and their front office. The Chiefs front office operate good in the draft and building the team. So I think we'll see them back. I think they might have a lull, kind of like what the Patriots did. Like the Patriots went on their run, they won a bunch of Super Bowls, and they had a little bit of a run where they didn't, and then they had another like
10 years, Chris.
run.
Chris, that wasn't a little. It wasn't little, Chris. That was 10 years of not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go 10 years, but I can see it being something like that because they're going to have to regroup. And I mean, Kelce's not going to be easy to replace.
Well, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to take a pay cut, guys. I mean, the guy's making so much money. He's making so much money that the Kansas City Chiefs cash space is absolutely destroyed right now. So he's going to have to take somewhat of a pay cut. And if he wants to be a leader and show that he's that leader of the team, he's got to be like Tom Brady, right? He's got to take a pay cut. You can't be getting paid this much money. You got to spread that money that you're going to, take cut around to keep people that you want to keep or to pick up people in free agency to bring into this organization.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I told you earlier, I feel like this team, the reason why they lost the Super Bowl, and a lot of reasons why I think they lost the Super Bowl is like I said earlier, it's like going against Apollo Creed. Apollo Creed says, "Look around, Rocky. Look what all they got. The Philadelphia Eagles out there all got the eye of the tiger, but you don't." So what I mean by that analogy is Kansas City has to understand, hey, look, we want to get this crown back. We can't go in there overconfident and underprepared. We got to go there overprepared and fighting for our playoff lives. And if you get that dog-like mentality, which they clearly did not have, and I think Philadelphia we know had, then yeah, you can win championships. But they didn't even go there with the dog-like mentality. They walked in there. Look, if you see your boy Travis walking down like he's the dude from Saturday Night Fever, right? Got that nice swag on. That just tells you everything you know that he was not in it. I want the crew cut. I want the crew cut back on Travis Kelce. Then I'll start taking him like he got the dog-like mentality, not that Taylor Swift BS that we've been seeing floating around.
What were you going to say, Tony?
I don't think they're going to fall off that much. I think they're still going to be a playoff team. Whether they make it back to the Super Bowl, we'll see. But I don't think they'll fall off that much. I think that they still got Rice coming back at receiver. Worthy had a good rookie year. I think you've seen the offensive line's got to get a little bit better. I think they got to get a running back. I don't think they're strong enough at the running back position. I think they got to get a true running back. But I don't think they'll fall off that much. I wouldn't be shocked if they made it back to the Super Bowl. But I do think they're a playoff team.
Though a little bit of slack because Pacheco literally did come back from a broken fibula. I mean, he'd only been back a handful of games before they even got into the Super Bowl. So I don't necessarily think that they have a running back issue because I still think Pacheco is still a really good running back. I think for him.
Well, but the thing about Pacheco, hasn't he been hurt the last couple seasons? He hasn't really been able to stay healthy for a whole season for him.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that that's a good viewpoint as well. I mean, and they're gonna have to figure out if that's the case, they're gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do with that because you still got Pacheco, Hunt, and Perrine there. So that's three guys right there. you know, they actually did. I thought did quite well
But the
during the
thing
regular
is,
season. I think it was the biggest issue
if their
for them.
offensive line don't play better, it's not going to matter. Because what they do, they ran the ball what 7 times total in the Super Bowl, I think it was, because they got so far behind and was trying to throw.
Yeah.
I mean, they only attempted like 7 runs in that game because of how dominant Philly was on the line of scrimmage.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, going back to what Joe was saying, if you don't mind, you know, Joe, I know you're on the coast to coast a lot, and we talk a lot on coast to coast about the Cowboys, but I think Pags really kind of hit it pretty well that, you know, as long as leadership is what leadership is with the Cowboys, and look, you got to admit that most of their coaching hires were quite questionable. I don't know that that's necessarily going to move the needle out there in Cowboy land. That's why I can't get on board with what Dak is saying when he says we're closer. I don't think that's the case in any way, shape, or form. You know, Dallas has a lot of issues, and it's not just at the player level, it's at the leadership level. And when it's at the leadership level, you got huge problems.
Yeah, in a big way. I think the Cowboys are not going to be anywhere near Joe. Joe has got a vision of grandeur there.
He's trying to show true fandom, and I like that. I like that. You have so much faith, but you also gotta put that fandom aside a little bit and actually come into reality and see what's going on with your organization before you can even, you know, me as a Patriot fan, I can even tell you right now that we're not even close to being ready, right? I mean, we got the coach, we got the offensive coordinator, and everything like that. But now we need to actually put it onto the field. We need the offensive line. We need some weapons. You know, you could be a diehard fan, which is what Philly Sports Guy do, what I do, what Jay does, what Chris and Tony does. You know, we do that with our teams. Yes, we love our teams, and we're always going to die for our teams, and we're going to, you know, say what we want to say for our teams. But then again, we also have that realization of, well, we know when we're not ready, right? I mean, it took Jay a long time. It took Jay about until 4 or 5 years ago where he was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to get off the rest of the Cowboy fan base type thing.
I got tired of eating a lot of humble pie. So much humble pie a man can eat before he says, hey, I'm full of it. You know, and the thing that I knew, the reason why I know the Cowboys have such a hard time with leadership is even after Jerry Jones does pass on the torch at some point to Stephen Jones, when Stephen Jones came out in that press conference saying, quote unquote, the drought, I knew right then and there, oh, damn, here's another 20 years of Jerry. Well, bring it on. I guess it's like a polar bear. I'm going to go into dormancy. I'm going to stay in dormancy for about 20 years. I'll come back and then my Cowboys will actually do something. Look, I'm 52 years old. By the time Stephen Jones gets rid of it, I'll be 72, Pags. I'll be 72 years old. I'm waiting for a championship. Come on. It's crazy, but that's what we got. Joe, I hope you realize that's what we got, Joe.
Could you imagine Jay being, you know, lasting into 72 and just like still not seeing his Cowboys reach the NFC Championship game? Not a Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship game. Oh, Jay, you better hope to God that, you know, we stop talking by the time you're 72.
Yeah, listen, there was a long time when the Patriots weren't doing much. And then you guys had Bill Belichick and a guy named Tom Patrick, Eric Jones, Brady, all the other names he's got. You know,
but we were making Super Bowl losing them.
There was a time, even in Philly, that he went through a long drought up until the point, you know, where they got their first championship. I mean, sometimes teams go in droughts. I just hope this drought gets over sometime soon.
Oh my God, that is such a ridiculous statement, Joe. You could tell that you are from you don't live in the United States. not for anything other than the one big difference that the Patriots have that the Cowboys do not have is $170 million of cap space. That's what they have. They could turn it around a lot faster than the Cowboys can for a lot of
and a top 5 draft pick.
So I listen, I understand and appreciate, Joe, that you want your Cowboys to do better, but you're not going to see it. Not next year. Right. And I told you, if you want to bet, I bet you that they're under 500, at least under 500. And let's bet your house. I want to bring my whole family over and use your house as an Airbnb.
Oh, I like this. We've never heard a bet over the top. That's like an over the top bet. Not only is he predicting that you guys go under 500, but he said, listen, put your house up. I want to bring my family to your house and Airbnb that. I've loved that.
Well, Joe lives in Italy. Joe lives in Italy. So That's why I'm saying I want to do
Oh.
it that way.
I want a piece of that bet. We all want a piece of that bet, Joe. We will all love a piece. Timing, obviously, we're not gonna all
I
go
want some
together.
pork shank. I want some pasta. I want some vino. Man, listen, I'll be part of Pag. Look, he'll adopt me for a little bit. I won't be able to out there and hang out.
Yeah, I'm bringing my kids, not you, Jay.
But I'm just a big kid. What are you talking about? No, but and I think that is it, right? Is the fact that our Cowboy, when our leadership isn't right, hell with the. And I will tell you this though, Frankie, you guys got a lot of cap space. You really do. I just hope that Vrabel spends that money the right way and doesn't make any foolish contracts as he's doling out all that money to free agency. Because you have to be protective over that money and not just give it out all over the place. You know what I'm saying? I just hope he's being very judicious with that money.
I don't gamble either, Joe. That's why I keep saying and making it funny. So you're safe. Your house is safe, Joe.
Damn it! I was trying to get in on that bet. I'm trying to go to Italy. I'm trying to go to Italy too, man. I want some homemade meatballs.
But
all right,
anyways.
guys. So we got any more? I'm not taking up enough of Philly sports guys' time. Thank you, Philly. Thank you for coming on here, man. I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, brother.
Hold on, before we go and end this, football season's done. Baseball season coming up. When are we going to see you in a 76ers gear again?
In 76ers gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said now that football season's over with, are we going to get some 76ers Philly sports guy?
I don't know. I have a very strong opinion right now about the 76ers and the ownership group. That would take a whole nother show to discuss that. But it may be a season before you see me in Sixers gear.
Well, I'll
about
tell you what,
baseball
though,
season?
you in that Philadelphia Phillies gear, though.
The Phillies
Joe,
gear,
we
you'll see
appreciate
me.
you tuning in, Mo. We appreciate you, Joe. Thank you for tuning in. We know you're a big Philly Sports Guy fan. We know you follow Philly Sports Guy, but we appreciate you joining in on us and commenting. Please follow us, like our streams, share our stream, and continue to show up to our stream because we love the interaction. And I would love to see you and Jay comment together on Cowboys, and I would love to go against both of you. Chris, what were you saying about the Phillies?
I was just asking about the Phillies if he followed them as well.
Oh, I do. Big Phillies fan. I put the Phillies paint on just like just like I do the Eagles paint.
Hey, Chris, you didn't see the sad look on his face as Alvarez hit that big ginormous ball, and he was in center field there at Astro World, and you didn't see that bounce out the wall. You didn't see that sad look on his face. I saw it. I felt bad for him, but at the same time, I loved it.
I mean, you didn't see his face. You didn't see the face he had.
Okay.
I mean, you didn't see the face he had when the Yankees came out and swept them in Philly. I mean,
I didn't have a face for that. That was just regular season. Nobody cares about that. Yeah. And listen, I hate the Dodgers more than I hate the Yankees, and you guys shit the bed there too. So I don't want to hear it.
I know. I totally agree. You don't understand how upset I was sitting on my couch. Me and Jay was actually watching Game 5 together, right? We were here on StreamYard, but we weren't live. And my reaction from the first inning to the fifth inning was so exciting that once the fifth inning came, I was so upset. I couldn't believe it. And now they just got even better. Literally, the Dodgers got even better. They look scarier.
Here's your hot take for that, since we're going to get it off here because I got to go pick up my kid.
Yep.
The Dodgers don't make the playoffs.
I like that.
You want to have a team like that? Too many egos in the pot spoil the soup, and that's what I think. You're going to see a Dodgers team that is going to have some inner strife. You got all that money in there, spent all that money, played all these games with these contracts, and you're going to wind up not making the playoffs. And I'm going to love every second of it.
I love that prediction. Philly Sports Guy, you just made me love you 2 times more for that. It's just,
Hey,
that's
Philly,
insane.
man, I love
That's
you, man.
that's like me
Come
saying
on,
the
I'm ready to
Astros will make the
congratulate you,
playoffs.
man, but I will see you and Stat Guy and Bo in April, man. I look forward to it, and thanks for coming on the show, brother.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pags. Have a good day and enjoy the parade, man.
I'm going to. And when you guys see, you'll probably see me somewhere. I'll be in the mix somewhere
The
somehow.
cameras are sure to find you.
Yeah, that's the way. It's always the handsome ones. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
Have a
All
good
right,
one,
brother.
Yeah,
Pags.
you too.
Well, all right.
All right, guys. You got
Got it.
anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got
Hey,
one.
hey,
Lucas
hey,
1-0 with the Lakers, baby. 1-0 with the Lakers. Luka Magic, baby.
Hey,
About to
yeah,
make
did
it
you,
Hey,
No.
what's up, my
hey,
Luke
Frankie,
today? I already-
did
I already
you
had
hear
my
the
show.
did you hear the
Luke and
crazy
Taco was there for it, and so was Tony.
did you hear the crazy shit Jay was talking about Luka yesterday? Because he
No,
only had
I
14
wasn't.
points in the opener.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that.
I basically said, look,
Yeah, he said he sucked.
congratulations on your minuscule 14 points. You went 5 of 12 on the shooting, 37%. Great. Good job. First impressions, amazing.
That's not what he said.
Is
but-
it not? I mean, is it not for a person that's been out for
No,
almost like
it's
2
really
months?
not. No.
He said
no.
he said
It's
Luka
really
was
not
trash.
impressive.
The man's been
I
out
said he was
since
trash.
December
I said he's
20.
garbage. I said he's yesterday's freaking news. What are you gonna do about it, little man? What are you gonna do?
He's been out since
Hey,
Christmas.
he only had-
14 points is good.
Hey Jay, do you realize how many minutes he played that game?
He played like
You're
27 minutes.
Oh, now we're gonna go to minutes. Oh, you're right.
He
I'm
played
sorry. We
24
are a low
minutes.
management
He played
league, and I think
24
we're gonna
minutes.
take 5
He only
minutes.
played half the game.
So half the game, he could score more than 14 points. Really? On 5 of 17, 5 of 17.
I mean, for a person that's been gone since Christmas, yeah.
18 points, half a game's pretty good.
Yeah, if he played that, half might have 28.
Now, there's a lot of players that don't score 10 points the whole game.
I mean, what do you expect him to have, Jay? You expect him to have 30
Chris,
points in
I
24
expect
minutes?
this from millennials. I don't, or Tony, I expect this from millennials. I don't expect it from you, Tony. I expect better. Be better. You're
How
ex-gens. Be better. We come on.
He ain't played in 6 weeks.
How young do you think I am? You're not that much older than me. I think you're like 5 years older than me.
A little bit more.
I think Jay. I think
don't you
Jay.
forget that 5 years. That means I was in school before you were still pooping in diapers.
You know. I think Jay's just upset because a couple months ago, it wasn't. It actually wasn't that long ago where Jay was so excited and he was so ramped up on the Rockets being in second place of the West. And I told JJ, I told you this. I said there's a lot of games left in NBA.
I also understand though, Van Fleet has been on the IL now for a few of those games. He's a big part of that offense, the leadership and stuff. No, he is. He really is.
Hey, Jay.
Trust me, he's a big part.
Hey Jay, I got a question for you. What's up with these the crybaby Texas people outside the Dallas Mavericks stadium with signs and protested and throwing a fit about Luka not being there no more?
And dropping caskets.
1,000 people.
Bro, because they were pissed.
I think they got a problem there, man.
Dallas? I'm just a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't live there. That's a whole different species of people.
Yeah, so you know who is? You know who is? Your wife's a Dallas Mavericks fan, so you should like the Dallas Mavericks for your wife too.
Hey, listen, my wife loves everything I like. So if I tell her like Dallas Cowboys, she likes Dallas Cowboys. Well, we are both Cowboys fans. We're both UT fans. But look, she's a Mavericks fan. I let her have that. I'm a Rockets fan. I did convert her from a Rangers to an Astros, so I got her to be on the Astros team. So you know what? Sometimes you got to give up the one, Frankie. Sometimes you got to give up the one to be happy in the household. So I let her have.
I give up the one. I gave up the one. Caitlin's a Dolphins fan, and I'm a Patriots fan. So
man, that's a rough time over there too. I know how rough that is at the dinner table.
I love it. She's been getting in my face the last couple of years, but don't worry, it'll be coming back around. I'm coming back around.
Oh,
yeah, they kicked the fan out the other night because he had to fire Nico side. There was a bunch of fire Nico side outside the stadium last night.
Them Dallas officials need to stop being so weak and let a patriot be a patriot. If I want to hold up a damn sign that says fired Nico Collins or Nico, whatever his name is, Nico Harrison, damn it, let me say fired Nico Harrison.
He's trying to fire NFL players as well.
Well,
I know too many Nicos, man. I gotta get these Nicos straight.
You know, Chris, I was thinking, I'm like, wait, isn't Nico Collins the wide receiver from the Houston Texans?
Yes, he is.
I was thinking to myself, but I mean, I gotta side with the Dallas fans on this. I mean, if it was me, I would be the same way. But you know what? I'm a Laker fan, and I know what we're doing right now. We're over here saying, "Hey, Jeannie Buss, promote our dude Rob Pelinka to even a higher position because what he just did knocked it out of the park, baby." We got
the
Luka.
sad thing is, though, the sad thing is you're still not going to make it to the playoff. I mean, not going to make it to the championship game. You won't make it there. Oh, you thought you was going to make it there, huh? You think the Lakers going to go all the way, huh, Frankie? Okay.
You never know. You never know.
Oh,
I bet you.
okay,
I bet you 2 years
okay.
ago. I bet you 2 years ago you never expected us to be in the Western Conference Finals to face the Denver Nuggets.
Bruh. You don't
Exactly,
even
so you never know.
You got
never
some
know.
in that you brought up off of free agency
You
that nobody
never
else really
know.
wanted, and you stuck him in. And all of a sudden, you think you got a chance. Okay,
You never
I'm not a
know.
Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan.
Sometimes you just got the hashish.
I'm not a Lakers
Sometimes you
fan.
got
I'm not
the
a fan of the. And I'm not a fan of the. There ain't nothing wrong with the hashish, but anyway, when you I'm not a Lakers fan, but honestly, I don't think, and I'm not a fan of the West because I'm more the East with the Pacers. But on the West, I don't think the West is as deep and as strong this year as everybody tried to make it out to be. I could see the Lakers making a run.
I mean, realistically, Chris, from the second seed to about probably, I'll say the ninth, maybe even the eighth, all those teams are close together. Literally, all those teams are close together. So, like every day, every game, someone is changing a seeding, right? I mean, it's insane at the West compared to the East, where
Hey, listen, I'll be honest. OKC at that one spot, right? Especially since he got Chet Holmgren back and played. He had like 4 blocks and a few points because he's still getting his wheels underneath him. Dude, he looked good. And that team, that OKC team, looks freaking scary.
Oh, well,
and they look
I don't
legit,
care,
bro.
I don't care. You sound scared. You sound scared. I don't sound scared. You want to know why? Because they looked like this last year, and guess what happened? They were a first round exit. I'm not scared. OKC, you can have a good record, OKC. Okay, we'll see you in the playoffs. How about that?
I can't wait till you're sitting at home crying, but it's okay. We'll wait a little bit.
That's my thing. Like, okay, you got OKC at first, but then after that, the Grizzlies. They're a good team, but do we trust the Grizzlies? Like, you really trust the Grizzlies that they're going to go on a deep
I'm not
playoff
really sold
run?
on the Grizzlies.
The Nuggets, I don't think the Nuggets are going to go on a deep, finals
I
run.
don't.
You don't think so?
And I mean, and that's really the only.
He said, "You don't think so?" Yeah, look at this stuff for a minute.
Look,
You don't think
honestly,
so?
I really do believe. I
Jokic.
think LA is in there. I do think Memphis will be in there. Houston will be in there. I do think that Utah will be in there. But ultimately, once you get past that,
Utah.
Who's Utah?
Utah. The Jazz is
I'm
one
not
of the worst
Utah,
teams in the
sorry.
league.
I meant Denver. I apologize. I meant Denver.
I'm about to say,
I meant the
I'm about to
Nuggets.
say we're gonna have to cut this stream quick right now. Like he's about to get us.
No,
in.
I think Denver's
I
a
meant to
good
say
team.
Denver. I
I
apologize.
trust
I know I
Denver.
said Utah, but I meant Denver.
I trust the Thunder, Denver, and the Lakers more than I do the Grizzlies or the Rockets or the Clippers.
Well, that's what. Okay. Hey, listen, everybody has an opinion. They're entitled to it. Doesn't mean it's right. They're entitled to it.
I didn't say it was right. I just
No. Frankie was like down there like
You broke his heart, Chris. Chris, you broke his heart. Every ounce of happiness that he had just like went and just disappeared. Like he was smiling and stuff. Then you said what you say. He's just like.
But think about this, Frankie.
the Rockets are good in rebuilding. I just think they're still like a year away before they're going to be.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get what I'm saying twisted. I don't think the Rockets are going to get to the NBA Finals. I don't believe that. But I do think, and I have said this earlier, that I think the Rockets are a top 5 team. That's all I'm saying is I think that right now they're a top 5 team. But you have to understand they're without their big leader in Van Fleet. Van Fleet is a big part of that team. And if you let you watch the Houston Rockets, you wouldn't know that. But Van Fleet is a very big part of that team. And I think once he comes back off an injury, we're gonna be right the ship, you know. But we'll see. See what happens.
They're top 5 right
But
now.
I think we're a top 5.
They are top 5. They're actually number 5.
Yeah, so I'm saying I think we're a top 5 team. Now you can put us anywhere from 2 through 5 you want to put us, but I think we're somewhere in that top 5.
I think they're going to struggle to stay top 5, Jay.
You think so? Okay.
I know your good players been out, but sometimes when you get on that losing streak, They've lost a lot of games. Sometimes it's hard to get it back, and I think they make the
Yeah, you're
play.
talking about momentum. I agree.
Playoffs, but-
I agree.
Yeah, so
I
I mean, they were not too long. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they was 2. Now they're 5. I'm a little worried about them. I think they'll make the playoffs. So
And another, and the Timberwolves are starting to play better. Minnesota's starting to play better.
That 2-week period. That's when That's when he went down with that injury. And when he went down with that injury, that's when we slipped from number 2 to number 5.
yeah.
The T Wolves are playing better too. Where I think they can make a run to try to get maybe in that 5th spot.
Man, actually, the Rockets are going up against Vancouver tonight. I mean, not Vancouver, the Suns. I said Vancouver. We're going up against the Suns tonight, so that should be interesting. Shut up. I heard you saying shut up. 7:30. I heard you saying shut up.
I think we should just change your name up here to Joe Biden.
Yes.
Put that shit back.
Yeah, I said
No,
before
Jay
the show.
Jay Biden.
Jay
Okay, yeah.
Sleepy J.
Oh God.
Hey, look, I can take a monster drink and wake up. You still got to sit on a telephone booth. Shut your pie hole, Mitch.
Oh Lord.
Pacers are 4th in the East, but
Tony knows I love him.
we did get our
I
asses
can take
kicked last night by the
The
Knicks.
Yeah, we did.
It was a close game until 4th quarter, then we
I
fell
realize
apart.
me and Joe have the same teams.
I think the Knicks is a real good team. They better watch out for them if they stay healthy. Is anybody going to beat
Knicks are a
Boston
good
though?
team. Matter of
I
fact, the
never
Knicks
met
play the
someone that
Hawks
lives in.
tonight.
I never known or met someone that
I don't know if
lives in
anybody's going to
Italy,
beat Boston in a
Italy
7-game series.
I don't either.
who like so many ugly teams.
Frankie, you guys play the Jazz again tonight.
Yeah,
Wow.
but what's kind of messed up is like it's not messed up because it's like not a far distance, but we have to travel to Utah after just playing in LA. So we had a 1-day travel, but it's Utah. I don't care. I'm just excited to see Luka in purple and gold again.
Pacers go up against the Wizards tonight.
Double
Y'all should
victory for
Y'all
us.
should definitely spike up on the Wizards tonight and get that 30.
Jay, you might end up on the losing streak before the
I
All-Star break.
hope we
but
do, but this is
Back-to-back.
also second night of a back-to-back for the Pacers because we played the Knicks last night and lost.
Are
And
you
now
guys, you guys are home?
no, we were home last night. And now we have to travel to the Wizards on a second game of a back-to-back.
So from
Damn.
New York to Washington, that's about like a 5-hour drive. So, but I mean, yeah, traveling, especially going to back to back, and you have to travel. That sucks. It sucks. But it's the Washington Wizards.
Yeah. Like
Bro,
I said,
we still got Fred VanVleet. He's going to be out tonight again. Jabari Smith Jr. He's still out, and then we got Sagoon. A
No
game
heart.
time decision.
Yeah, what the hell is with all these?
no heart.
Yeah.
They don't have that
Excuses.
dog mentality.
Excuses. Next man up. Next man up. All right. Excuses.
The fuck? What is this shit on Jay Knight?
Did you ever hear me sound like that when we had AD and he was always injured? Nah, you guys are always trolling me like, oh, AD injured again.
Fuck.
Stop making excuses, Jay. Next man up. You got another point guard. You got another forward. You got another shooting guard. There's a bench for a reason. Have faith.
Bro, three of our starting 5 are talking about being out for the game, and you're talking about bringing the bench and getting a win. What an
I
ass.
know it's only been. I know it's only been 2 games, but you guys think Golden State can make any kind of run?
I mean, we did say that before the trade deadline. And I think you guys agreed. I think you guys agreed to me once Jimmy Butler
hey,
got
look,
there.
now they got Butler on that team, and
Yeah.
Butler seems to be doing quite well. He got 20 points in his debut with Golden State. I mean,
Well, Curry-
who's to say they can't? I mean, they're not too far out the mix, are they?
And Curry scored.
That's far out of it.
Curry scored like 30 points the last 4 or 5 games in
Yeah.
a row or something.
Yeah, and I said that at the trade deadline. I said once Jimmy Butler got there, we were going to see an old Steph Curry because everybody knew that the ball would be in Steph Curry's hand. But now they got another shooter. It's
Yeah,
gonna.
they can't just key on Steph.
Yeah, they now got to focus on Steph. They got to focus on Draymond. They got to focus on Jimmy. It's kind of like having Klay Thompson back, but a little bit a better version of Klay Thompson.
So, hey, let me say this right now. If Dallas is at the 8th spot, which is the last playoff spot, but I think it goes up to 10 teams to get for the play-in, correct?
Yeah.
So right now, Golden State is in the play-in, but in theory, Golden State is only a half a game maybe one game out of the 8th spot. So they're not too far. I mean, and then
That's
we're
still
what?
playing.
They're
That's still
2.5
playing.
games behind the 6th seed. Now, what I'm saying is, to answer Tony's question, Golden State is only 2.5 games from the 6th spot. So they are very much in it. And when Butler could give that spark to them, absolutely they could get in the playoffs, Tony. No doubt about it.
See, that's why I'm worried about the Rockets. I think they may end up in that 7th or 8th spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's very real. Honestly,
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm concerned. They're a young team. They're a young team.
And you got Minnesota Timberwolves that are playing better. Now that I think some of them
don't
guys
get me wrong,
used to it,
I hope the Rockets go on a run and finish 2nd in the league or 3rd in the league.
I hope the Rockets are in the NBA Finals against the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers whoop the Rockets' ass. That's what I hope happens.
I'll go for that.
Well, that hashish is really pouring thickly over there. But hold on a minute. Here's the thing with the Rockets. I like this here because Gonzo's on the hashish. He literally just hit him because he's on the hashish. But what I'm trying to say about that is, look, even if the Rockets drop out of the 5, the fact that they were dead last or damn near dead last year, and nobody talked about them in the top 5. I mean, they've come a long way. I mean, given time, I guarantee you, Ime Udoka has got that team on the right path.
Well, remember last year, I said
stop injuries.
Last year, I said the Pacers were going to be top 5, and everybody laughed at me. That was last year. They made it to the conference. They made it to the conference final.
Yeah,
I did. I'll be honest. I didn't expect to make conference final. I didn't predict that, but I did say they'd be a top 5 team last year, and they were.
All right, before we head out of here, this is going to be a topic for tomorrow's show. I just want everybody that's watching to get ready for it. Breaking news came out just literally as we were talking a couple minutes ago. Kadarius Toney is arrested again for allegedly strangling a woman.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. They were talking about that yesterday. I thought that was BS, but now you're talking about it. I guess there was some truth behind it. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that tomorrow for sure. For sure. Hey guys, if you like this content, if you enjoyed the show, hanging out with Philly Sports Guy and this douchebag down below me, man, Frankie's Foxborough C.
Hey, look at my name. Hey, look at my name down there. You see what it says? It says hashtag is how's Patrick? How's Patrick doing? All you Kansas City Chiefs fans that thought that he was going to be the next GOAT. How's he doing? Is he hurting? I'll be hurting if I got sacked 6 times.
Make sure you guys please give us a like, a share, but mostly give us a subscribe. Give us a subscribe on Gonzo Sports Room as well as ESPN. Gonzo, it's up to you, brother.
All right, yeah, go check out our wrestling show for Monday as well. We started doing our end of the year awards, and I know I put out a bunch of graphics yesterday. I know Dad done got a call from some pro wrestlers today, bitching about where they were on the list. So,
maybe.
So that's pretty cool to see that we're getting some interaction from that. But yeah, I walked out there earlier and he's on the phone with one of the tag teams that was giving him a hard time about it.
Short conversation. Ain't won no championships. Ain't won no championships. You can't bitch.
Was this on WCWO's tag team, or is this a different league, or
this was just independent? Just the independent wrestling matches that we
did 71 shows
of the independent
last year.
wrestlers that we saw last year. We went to 71 shows.
Wow, that's a lot of shows.
That's where our picks came
from. Okay, I got you. I was just
we
curious.
went to 71. Marcus went to 84. And then Warren went to probably 20 or 30, I would say.
Yeah, Warren and Marcus. Warren and Marcus.
100.
They're like a father-son duo, and then you add Glenn into there. You got like 2 sons and a father.
Yep, I agree with that.
But yes, on Monday, Jay, we released four categories, and we'll do 3 more next Monday and 3 more the Monday after.
I watched NXT last night. Right in the middle, right in the middle is Glenn. So you could watch him the whole damn show. He was right in the middle of the, in the ring, right? Not in the ring, but right in that shot the whole time.
With his ugly fever hat.
Yep, his fever hat and his NASCAR jacket on.
I like how he wears that little pink scarf thingy that he's got. I don't know what they call that thing, but it's like he's got that little pink scarf looking thing on him all the time. I'm like, okay, Glenn, I see.
Hey, before we hop out, guys, for those of you watching, don't forget to go ahead and follow our boy 518 Jake. He's our gaming streamer. He's gonna do a lot more content when I think he said the MLB the new MLB show come out. He's gonna be more onto it. But go ahead and check him out on Twitch. He's mainly on Twitch, but he'll be here as well for all other platforms once that come out. Spring training is underway. Pitchers and catchers are already in Tampa or wherever you guys, where your spring training's at. It is underway. So Frankie the Yankee show's coming soon. I'm coming back with my show, and everybody in this panel is invited because we're all baseball fans. That's like my time of the year. I love baseball year. As much as I love football, baseball time is my time of the year, and I love it. So get ready for Frankie the Yankee to come back around, baby. Jay hates Frankie the Yankee.
Got like 40 days before 43 or 42 days
The Reds
before opening
watching
day.
March 27th for that.
Yeah, Reds open March 27th against the
Yes, I think
San
so.
Francisco Giants.
I think so does the Yankees. I think we open up March 27th against the Milwaukee Brewers.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody watching. Also, everybody go check out Philly Sports Guy. Give him a like and a subscribe on all his stuff as well. I know he's getting all kinds of exposure right now, but hey, a little more exposure isn't going to hurt anything.
Yep.
But we appreciate him joining us today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow right around 2.
Afternoon show, we own the night. Champions scream under the light. Precious
This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
light. Heroes fall and legends rise. Twist of fate in our eyes. Heads held high, never compromise. On
What can I say?
this we're on a
Mamba out.